This is one of the most significant cases that the justices have decided in recent years. Here, the Supreme Court ruling that President Trump's use of these emergency tariffs that he has implemented are illegal. It's the most significant economic case to reach the high court in years, sweeping implications for the economy and, of course, for presidential power. And at stake here are billions of dollars in revenue that have already been collected by the government.
The Supreme Court's ruling on tariffs is deeply disappointing, and I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed, for not having the courage to do what's right for our country.
In a historic decision that has fundamentally reshaped the American economy in a single afternoon, the United States Supreme Court has struck down Donald Trump's sweeping global tariffs, declaring them a violation of the Constitution. This ruling effectively kills the president's Liberation Day trade agenda, marking a monumental shift in power from the White House back to Congress and leaving a massive $170 billion hole in the federal budget. As global markets react to this sudden legal earthquake, the administration is already vowing to fight back with a controversial Plan B, triggering what experts call the most significant constitutional crisis of the second Trump term. The 6-3 ruling, authored by Chief Justice John Roberts, dismantled the legal foundation of the tariffs that have defined U.S. trade policy since early 2025. The court determined that the president's use of the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, to bypass Congress was an unprecedented overreach of executive authority. In an unexpected alliance, 3 conservative justices, Roberts, Gorsuch, and Barrett, joined the court's 3 liberals to assert that the power to tax and lay duties belongs solely to the people's representatives. The court's message was clear. A president cannot simply declare an economic emergency to seize the taxing powers explicitly granted to Congress by the founders. This decision immediately neutralizes the president's favorite economic weapon, striking down the 25% duties on Canada and Mexico, as well as the reciprocal baseline tariffs that have upended global supply chains. The scene at the White House following the announcement was one of unprecedented fury. President Trump launched a blistering verbal assault on the judiciary, branding the justices unpatriotic lapdogs and claiming the ruling was a direct gift to foreign adversaries. He expressed particular shame toward the members of the court he himself appointed, suggesting they lacked the courage to protect the nation's interests. This public fracture between the executive and judicial branches signals a deepening constitutional crisis, as the president argued that the court has effectively stripped him of his ability to negotiate trade deals and protect American workers. Despite the judicial order, the president remained defiant, insisting that the hundreds of billions of dollars already collected should stay in the Treasury, even as the law now says those funds were taken illegally. Within hours of the defeat, the administration pivoted to a high-stakes Plan B. The president announced he would sign a new executive order to impose a 10% global tariff under a different, more temporary legal statute. However, this new strategy is fraught with limitations. Unlike the broad powers he previously claimed, this alternative mechanism acts only as a stopgap, providing just 150 days of authority before requiring congressional approval. Furthermore, these fine-tuned tariffs require the administration to conduct detailed studies and provide reports for individual countries, a process that could take up to a year to fully implement. This shift from unlimited scope to a cumbersome process represents a significant watering down of the president's trade agenda and introduces a new era of bureaucratic hurdles for his administration. The economic fallout is already proving to be a logistical nightmare of epic proportions. Because the Supreme Court declared the collection of these tariffs illegal, it has triggered what legal analysts are calling a mother of all refund seasons. Thousands of American businesses, from small toy manufacturers to massive importers, who have been footing the bill for these duties now have a legal pathway to demand their money back. The total revenue in question is estimated between $140 billion and $175 billion. While the president has warned that his administration will fight these claims in the lower courts for years to keep the money locked away, the mere prospect of these refunds has sent shockwaves through the Treasury. Experts suggest that while some sector-specific tariffs on steel and aluminum remain in place for now, the broader architecture of the global trade war has been fundamentally compromised. For America's trading partners, the ruling provides a moment of clarity mixed with renewed uncertainty. Allies like Australia, the United Kingdom, and the European Union, who were hit with baseline tariffs of 10% or more, may see immediate relief, but the threat of the president's new 10% global baseline looms large. Canada, in particular, which saw 35% tariffs on many goods linked to fentanyl border concerns, now finds itself in a stronger bargaining position for the upcoming review of the Canada-United States-Mexico agreement. The loss of a credible threat from the White House changes the geometry of international trade negotiations, as foreign leaders now know the president's power to slap on sudden, massive tariffs is not absolute and can be checked by a determined judiciary. As the nation processes this judicial bombshell, the focus shifts to the immediate impact on the American consumer. If the administration is forced to stop collecting these duties immediately, the price of imported goods could theoretically drop, providing a potential boost to a cooling economy. However, the prevailing atmosphere is not one of relief, but of chaos. The uncertainty of whether the president's Plan B will survive its own inevitable legal challenges has left the business community in a state of paralysis. Companies that had already moved their supply chains out of China or redirected trade to avoid the Liberation Day penalties now face a world where the rules have changed overnight. This isn't just a battle over trade, it is a definitive moment for the American system of checks and balances, proving that even a presidency built on the most beautiful word in the dictionary must ultimately answer to the law of the land.